Got it?
Good.
Now, we watched a movie today.
Bad Kids Go to Hell.
Bad Kids Go to Hell. It's a Christian
Title
film.
for the ages.
It's a Christian film. It's a documentary. It's talking about different kids who go to hell.
Mostly people of color and different sexual orientation.
Minorities in general. Yes. If you're not a white Catholic, you are included in this film in one way or another. Oh, male as well. All of them are female. We are lying.
Yes.
Entirely.
That would be a far more interesting movie.
Nothing we said is true. Except for the title. Bad Kids Go to Hell.
Alright. One little bit of backstory before David takes this over. This movie was made off of the graphic novel of the same name. I have not read the graphic novel. Neither has David. It is made by the same person who made the graphic novel. He co-wrote and also directed the film. Does not mean that the movie is good. Or that the... Alright, take it. Take it.
Now, I'm going to give a little preemptive here before I start the plot. We don't know any character names. They're bland. They're annoying. We're going to go by titles such as Slut, Nerdy Boy, Nerdy Girl, Sports Kid, the main guy, and...
Jock.
Jock, there you go. We'll go by titles such as that. Try to keep track of it, but we probably won't either, so whatever. Now for the plot for this one. Okay. Go. So, it starts with a flash forward, a guy standing with an axe, and everybody's dead around him, making you think he's a psycho killer. Obviously, that couldn't just be the case, so they showed how did he get to this point. They're all in detention in a high school, all these different cliques, and they get to know on each other. Sounds like Breakfast Club. But they actually point out, this isn't Breakfast Club. I ain't your friend, and we are not going to get along. But then a spooky ghost who's an Indian, because they built it on a burial ground or some shit, starts throwing shit at him and killing them all. There are some weird coincidences. And they just kind of roll with it. They're like, oh, gee, man, this is spooky and stuff. But everyone's like, no, this is a trick. So then they all go off and do their own shit. And then in the end, only the one kid is left, but he's caught standing the axe. And he's like, oh, geez, I look like I killed these people. But it turns out it wasn't a ghost. It was just the janitor. Did that make any sense to you? Because it shouldn't.
This movie is very incoherent. I will say, though, and this is the idea that I got off of the movie after I first watched it. Actually, no, it was while I was first watching it, because I actually watched this movie once before David did, and I had to share it. Because I had a weird feeling about the movie. Now, David had a more profound reaction to this film than I did. The end of the movie is really what ruined it for me. The rest of the movie, it was teetering on being okay. I thought it would kind of fit in the line of the movie Creature, where it was bad, but it was almost okay. But unlike this one, Creature was enjoyable. This movie could have been enjoyable, even though it was the Breakfast Club from hell.
Let me say what I didn't like about it real quick.
Everything?
Oh, yeah, that's bad. All right. No, it was the fact that, like he said, it was so close to being okay. He said it was on okay. I think it was very close to being okay the entire way. But it followed the formula so closely. All the twists were so predictable. Except for, like, the very last one, which I didn't... Well, not the very, very last one. The second to very last one. Which the only real thing about it was the person involved. That one wasn't predictable. At least for me. And, in all honesty, the most unpredictable thing is how they died. Because that would just be the most random shit that killed them. So, yeah, it was so...
Jumping the shark.
It was so close to okay the whole time. It was really close. And then it nosedived. And it kept getting back out and nosediving again. And it just kept trying over and over every single time that you just thought they were going to pull it out. But then they went into a tailspin and crashed into the hillside. I didn't like this movie.
It seems to be a rarity that we find movies that each other are really passionately despising of, that we end up almost hating the other person. But we'll get into this later on. Alright, into the movie itself. When it comes down to it, let's do the base. The writing. The writing is wrong. It's so wrong. Alright, no. My first impression of this movie... Hold on. Okay. This is before I say anything else.
Okay.
My first impression of this movie, because it came from a graphic novel.
Okay, that's what I wanted you to bring up.
Yeah, because it came from a graphic novel, the writing is very much like that. It's like what you would read. I have not read the graphic novel, so I can't say anything on it, but I have a feeling that this is almost the word for word lifted off of the pages, because the words do not sound right.
When you're reading a comic book, a graphic novel, anything of that sort, the dialogue usually doesn't pander very much. It kind of just says, here's what this character is thinking, here's what this character is thinking, here's what this character is thinking. And usually it's something about another character or an event. It's not something like, really shouldn't have had that waffle today. It's usually something like, you're a lying, cheating whore and I don't like you. Something like that.
There are more subtler words,
but I'm saying, like, thought bubble-wise as well. And it seems like that's what happened. All the thought bubbles kind of just appeared. Now, they were prompted, mind you. They weren't just kind of sitting there and they went, God, you're fucking stupid. No. They were like, hey, what are you thinking right now? God, you're fucking stupid. So, yeah, that was one thing I had of, it's just all angst.
Angst. And also, the entire movie is shot like a comic book. I mean, like, all the angles are very much like what you would see.
Stick to writing real quick. You're moving ahead.
It's just the comic book relation to it.
No, let's stick to writing real quick.
It should have been an anime.
It really should.
It should have been an anime.
The problem being...
It's not even a good one and whatnot, but it would have worked better that way.
Or at least an animation. Basically anything except for live actors would have been...
It's just that style and whatnot, and the gore and all that jazz, like, you would expect it. Like, even if the story didn't make any sense, it was kind of like another. It was like, even if the story didn't necessarily make any sense, alright, the gore is justified because it's fucking anime.
The problem being, as I said...
It's like the Pokemon Origins. That's not gore, but still.
It was filled with angst, the problem being that no person talks like that. Maybe in high school, which, to be fair, they were in. But
angst.
You gotta be a really angsty high school kid to get that much angst across. Because it was so much all the time. There was the ghost, like, appeared, pretty much. It was like, they had a seance and shit went crazy, and yet everyone in the room was like, nah, man, that ain't... Psh. That was just a draft. Bitch, the lights exploded.
There's no way you can realistically change this. There's no way that you can explain this.
Yeah.
And also, still at the same time, how the fuck did were they able to do that if the shit was all staged?
I'm pretty sure that the director did not think of that, and they're like, nah, it was staged.
They don't explain.
Yeah, that's the other part of the writing. Nothing's really explained. Like, there's one part where they're trapped in a room with this crazy fucking hologram thing, because all high schools have hologram projectors.
No, this is a prep school.
All prep schools have hologram projectors. It's a fucking hologram.
State of the art.
Point being, it's going insane. It's like this crazy deformed face. It's like... And the main character kid, the one main girl's freaking out. She's like, Jesus Christ, don't go near it! And the main character just goes up, and he taps a little projector light, and all of a sudden it's Abraham Lincoln going, and that's when I freed the slaves by ratifying the amendment. It's like, okay, so if you tap a light, not only does it fix the sounds and the video, but it also, just tapping a light.
Well, it's the projector light.
I'm sorry. So if there's a bug flying around in a projector light, all of a sudden I'm going to see demonic shit flying up on my screen. That's what you're saying.
That'd be crazy shit.
Yeah. No, it doesn't quite work out.
That's it. The program itself was fucked up.
That's the thing. Yeah. You'd have to
you'd have to go to the computer,
walk up to the hard drive and go, won't do shit, but at least you'll
percussive maintenance.
You'll do like you're doing something. On after that, do you have any more writing? Because I want to move on to acting.
Well, characters.
Okay.
The characters themselves and whatnot were ungodly stereotypical, but
It was the Breakfast Club thing.
It was the Breakfast Club, but at the same time, it was the modernized version. So everything had to be sleazy. Everything had to be like ridiculously over the top. Like the bookworm has a stripping scene.
Why were the 80s less cynical than now? I don't understand.
Because they had John Hughes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, I love John Hughes movies and whatnot in the 80s because they were good. They made sense then and whatnot. When he started getting into the 90s and whatnot, it got a little weird. But for the most part, like, you know, his movies were fantastic. I love The Breakfast Club. I love Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And it was like the iconic teenage movies in the 1980s. You can take that plot again and revolutionize it for the modern audiences, and I can understand this. The plot for this is understandable, if not necessarily original.
No. The plot is not understandable.
I mean, the basis is original.
Yes.
The base is tolerable, if nothing else is original in the movie. Now, the characters are stereotypical beyond belief.
Right. There's the, like...
But there's sleazy versions of it.
For example, if you haven't seen Breakfast Club, watch Breakfast Club. Honestly, come on, what are you doing? Molly Ringwald's character in that movie, she's kind of like the preppy girl, popular. Yes. She is represented by this blonde chick in this movie, preppy girl, popular. She was going to be the homecoming queen. You see that right there?
She's a cokehead.
She's a definite cokehead. Because, you know, modern.
Yeah, because we're cokeheads now, man.
Let's see, moving on after that.
I'm fine now!
You got the sports kid.
The jock, who's a total douchebag and whatnot.
He's straight up like, he's just willing to fucking... What was it? He was moving across the dance floor in one of the scenes, and he was just like taking people and just like... Bitch, I am the king.
It reminds me of that one character, Brad Bramish from Brick. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It was so you put me, Brad Bramish, in the game. He's going to be doing what needs to be done.
I said, Coach, why don't you listen to me?
That's exactly what the character was and whatnot. He had a gun.
Yeah, he had a cast because of an earlier scene. Doesn't fucking matter.
He broke his leg and went through
He just pulled out a gun and he's like, yeah, y'all playing a joke on me now, aren't you? Huh?
Go after my father. He's the one who made the deal, not me. He starts shooting them everywhere. Because those sprinklers are attacking you.
So yeah, again...
All these scenes were supposed to be intense.
Alright. The Bookworm Girl.
The Bookworm Girl.
She did not have a representation in, Breakfast Club. Though, the closest you will get is sort of the outcast girl. But the outcast... What was her name? I think it was Allison in the movie. Breakfast Club. She was very likable. She was kind of goth, but very outcast. She was quirky.
Well, the thing is, though, like, her character was relatable because it was more than just morbidity.
Yes.
She wasn't all emo-tastic. You know, she was someone who was just trying to get attention for the most part because she was, like, you know, a little cuckoo. But the thing is, though, her character in this movie is represented by a crazy slut.
Not even a slut, even, if you go by the very ending reveal. She's just like, no, we shouldn't be doing that. I get perfect squares and blah, 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 blah. And then she sees an ink blot, because that's the twist. They were controlling people through Rorschach tests.
Which, how does that even work?
It's like, I guess subliminal messaging, but they figured out how they would respond by showing them, it's like, what do you see? Oh, I see a pair of boobs. And then they show it later, and boobs!
Vaginas! Stuff!
This bookworm character, she sees an ink blot, and she's like, you know, I think that I should dance on the table!
Nope.
Sorry.
Yeah, but she does, and it's not bad. But then there's also this guy who walks over and starts doing this shit with the lights. He's like,
everyone in the classroom was just like,
they're all whipping out their phones.
There were the two guys. After she took off her top, there were two guys who were jumping and just like, they weren't even looking at her.
I know, these people were so excited that this girl was stripping on the table.
There were chicks doing it too.
It's like, they're like, wow! I'm like, are all these people really high?
Point being, she wasn't that relatable.
No, none of these people. And also,
that
all right.
comes up the sleeve.
No, hold on a second. The one bit that was supposed to be her weakness and whatnot, she's an asthmatic. Coming from an asthmatic, she dies in this movie because of an asthma attack. I am asthmatic. I've been asthmatic my entire life. And guess what? Asthma does not work the way that it works in this fucking movie.
If you get asthma, you have 30 seconds to get your inhaler. Otherwise, you cough up blood.
I have not used a rescue inhaler in over a year. Why? Because asthma does not literally work to a point in which that you need to necessarily use it every single time you get startled. Now, there are varying degrees of asthma. I have some pretty bad asthma. There came a point in time about last year I almost died. But guess what? It doesn't happen that fucking fast! It's not 30 seconds. It's at least a few hours. You got a while before your lungs close up.
And then the very last character is this just shy boy. I think he had no characterization because he was shy. He didn't talk.
Did not matter.
He does have a Breakfast Club equivalent, and I think in the Breakfast Club equivalent, he's just kind of a guy, you know. The thing.
He's just a guy who's just. I mean, they're trying. There's some equivalence between each of the characters, obviously, right. But at the same time, though, they don't take good elements of the characters. They don't take the memorable elements of the characters. Obviously, we can't remember any of the fucking names of the people in this movie. Except for Max.
Yeah. Which one was Max?
He was the janitor.
Oh, Max the janitor, right? So see, I didn't even remember. He wasn't even that memorable. He wasn't that sleazy either. He was just there.
He was mentally handicapped.
And then the two main characters, this bitch of a girl and this dick of a guy. Fuck them. I don't care. Moving on. Okay. If we must talk
acting.
about
Let's just do acting now.
Okay, acting. Well, you know what? I'll start with that bitch of a girl and that dick of a guy. You're okay. But don't ever get into a situation where you have to show pure emotion.
just spite.
Because there were points where it was like, she, the one bitch girl who snorted cocaine, killed the jock dude.
Snorted a lot of cocaine, though.
Yeah. So, and then the one dick boy has a gun at her. And what does he do? He's like, why did you do this? Alright, gun down, I'm done. Woo, emotion.
Yeah.
Dang.
People in Twilight have more emotion than these people.
At least Jacob.
Well, the thing is, though, like people in Twilight, all their emotions are one note. They have one emotion the whole movie.
They do.
Now, the girl who plays the blonde, the prep.
She has two. She has, God damn it, and she has, God damn it.
Well, the thing is, though, like, the one scene that was okay for me is when she was sitting down talking with,
that was God damn it.
No, with the,
yeah, I know.
She had the...
That's what that scene was?
The nail gun and whatnot.
She had a nail gun. It ended up killing her and another kid. Yeah. Because. That's what you can really boil it down to. Because. Tell me, why did she dance on top of the table, Matt?
Because.
Tell me, why did they end up having the janitor as the final big reveal?
Because.
Tell me, why did they have the parents sign a hit for all of their children?
Because fuck you.
Yes. That was the final twist, was actually like mid-credit scene.
Yeah, it literally was happening afterwards, like it was an epilogue. I'm like, oh, all these people, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if all of you die. I don't care.
Fuck it, go into cinematography. Acting sucks.
Acting
was meh. Like I said. What?
I'm trying to think of any good scenes.
I enjoyed.
I had fun in the strip scene because that was the sleaze in me. That was the sleaze in me.
That was appearing. That wasn't acting. The teacher character who gives them detention, pretty much. Who's just
he wasn't bad. He wasn't good.
Okay. Yeah.
But at the same time, though, like
there was one point
he owned the character.
He killed the girl with a hatchet to the head, and he just stood there and he was just standing like this. And, what a bitch! And I was like,
she was supposed to pretend to poison me.
Been vomiting all day. It's really fucking cold out there.
Really cold outside.
I liked him. He was okay.
He was a cynical fuck.
But then you get to your main character is just like, I'm telling you, it's not the truth. I just, dang. No way. I don't care. But,
You see, there's an interesting movie that has a whole bunch of bad kids, in a way, but not really bad kids in a way, in a scenario where deaths started occurring. Have you ever heard of the movie Cry Wolf? It's a movie, I think that, I don't know if it's, it has a British main character and whatnot. It's a little bit of the same setup,
right.
But it's involved with a prank that they pull that ends up coming to bite them in the ass.
I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Basically.
Okay.
But no, the thing is, though, like, this one actually takes place in a prep school and whatnot. Same type of situation, all that jazz.
Gotcha.
It's not a supernatural one. It's just
neither
a
is this
mind
one.
fuck. Yeah, but it's like it doesn't have that basis to it. But still, at the same time, it's an interesting movie. This movie, on the other hand, not so smart. David literally kept saying he knew everything that was happening.
Admittedly, there were a few things that changed, but I always managed to predict it right before it happened, at least. It wasn't, I'm not saying like right before, of like, they were about to say the line, I'm like, she was actually the killer. No. I mean, like, a good 5 minutes beforehand. Like I said, I
see this coming. The road is clear to me.
Within the last 5 minutes, I didn't really get that. But I mean, okay, I even said before, the janitor character, he's a little bit slow, and he can't quite put everything together. And he Kaiser Soze'd the shit out of that. He was like, yes, I'm actually a contract killer, and I'm totally able to wipe down the blood on anything. Yes, I am amazing. Max Riverside.
Rainwater.
Fuck you, I don't care.
Rainwater.
Fuck you.
Alright.
Cinematography.
Was actually not bad.
Like we said, it was based off comic book.
Now,
comic book looks good. Maybe.
I've only seen a couple frames from it, but alright. The cinematography is not bad. That's not necessarily saying that the color correction is good. Now, the color correction is very washed out, and I can understand that, but at the same time, if you only have one solitary color palette, it gets boring to look at.
But again, they're trapped in a library the whole time, so you can't really move much.
Even blood's not even vibrant. It's just kind of
it's there.
It's just dark, and just everything's dark.
Sorry, I'm jumping back like 45 seconds. We can jump right back forward again, but I had to mention how the jock kid died.
Ha!
He fell down the stairs after hitting the head with a book by the bitch girl. And, boom, 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 boom. But he had a broken leg. So he had crutches. You pan over and you see that the crutch is through his chest. Not only is it through his chest, his heart is sitting at the top of it.
Yep.
That doesn't fucking happen, movie. I don't give a shit if you have ghosts or a goddamn surgeon. You don't just get the...
His chest would have had to be open.
There.
Like, if his chest was, like, completely open and whatnot, I can understand that a little bit more.
I can't still understand that.
I say a little bit more. I'm not necessarily saying it's entirely practical.
Hey, alright, your heart came out, and it somehow perfectly severed all the aortas and shit on it. Okay, that's fine. Where the fuck's his lung? Where the fuck is anything else in this area?
Just down on it. No, everything's like shishkebab.
There was nothing. It should be. But there was nothing else.
That is just really comedic. But... Yeah. Then the slut girl touches it and blood comes out of her face.
And then that doesn't come back. And I'm like, she probably has AIDS. She just got a mouthful of blood.
And congratulations, you have hepatitis.
There you go. All right.
Gonorrhea!
So cinematography, like you said, stuff and things, washed out palettes, blah, 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 blah. Move on to editing.
Editing.
Blah.
Editing.
It had its moments.
Everything's a comic book. Yeah. Everything in this movie is just structured like a comic book. Usually when you have like full page images and dialogue boxes and whatnot in a comic book, it's supposed to emphasize a longer scene. And the ones that are shorter, that are edited a lot closer together, stands for shorter scenes and shorter transitions of time. It seems like that is the way that this movie is paced.
I do want to give the director credit, since he is coming from a comic book scenario. I really do want to give him credit in that he didn't use just narration.
Yeah.
He didn't just because you know that happens. Like, meanwhile,
yeah.
He didn't use it. I don't know if he even uses it in his comic book, but I'm glad he didn't use it in the movie. It wasn't even like, so the other day I went down to the thing. Oh, sorry. So the other day I went down to the thing and I saw that person doing that stuff. Where it's just this internal monologue going on.
It's some movies just like, oh my god, please, shut up. We do not need to know every solitary thought that's going through your mind.
It's like, the only reason shut your mouth and then shut your mind up.
See, the reason that comic books do that is because there's no other way to know what the character is thinking. It's because it's a different medium. Now, thankfully, it did not do that in this movie. However, though, the writing for, like, the actual dialogue, the way that it was structured, as I said, it sounds very much like a comic book, because nothing was altered. Nothing was, like, because comic books have their own world, their own style, their own feel to it. I've rarely read a comic book that sounds literally like what a person would say. But also at the same time, the way that you're reading the comic book gives a completely different connotation on exactly what words are and what they do or do not mean. Movies are completely different.
You can't bold a word in a movie.
No, you can't. And guess what? Just saying things with more emphasis does not literally mean it's more effective.
It is not. What were you doing? I'm messing this up. I can't do it. Alright, there's gotta be something.
I've got nothing.
Directing, writing, it. Fuck. What is it?
That's it. That's it. This movie is very barren. Now the thing is though, it's okay. It's almost okay. It's almost there. It's almost passable.
You got a 69.9, but your teacher just doesn't round.
I have no idea how much this movie costs. The CGI in this movie is bullshit.
Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up.
The CGI is bullshit.
They don't use CGI very often. They use it for rain, and they use it for a scaffolding that they could have just got a fucking scaffolding.
Start spraying some water from a hose.
Put it on the...
It was pretty stupid.
Look, if you're making a movie, okay? If you're making a movie and you got fucking cranes and dollies and tripods and whatever the fuck else you got, then you can get a fucking scaffold.
The statue was pretty CGI when it got knocked.
Yeah, they paid for that entire fucking statue to be made. Because that was a prop. It was CGI when
it could have been like styrofoam or something.
Then make a styrofoam fucking scaffold. Nobody stepped on it. It could have been there.
It could have.
Why the... I just don't think they had access to an outside of the building. That's what I personally
Possibly. I don't know.
They didn't have access
You're only allowed to have this one area. But they also had other stuff.
They had access to a school for a day, but then the rest of the shooting time they had to stay in the library.
They were outside at the very beginning.
Yeah, that was the first day. There you go.
You're allowed 50 minutes outside. We got classes going on. But...
That's the movie. Give your final thoughts so I can fucking kill myself.
Please no. Final thoughts with me and whatnot. This movie just... See, I've seen it twice now, so I've had some time to digest it a little further. It's a mean-spirited movie that just does nothing for my time. Yeah.
Okay. My thoughts. Earlier today, I watched Requiem for a Dream. Just because it was on Netflix. That's not going to be on ShitFlix. You watch that and you watch it good.
This is one of the best movies ever.
It showed me characters who had unlikable traits, but I still cared about what happened to them. Take note, movie. Okay, look. Honestly, this movie, I can't believe it was made. Okay, I don't know how many copies this comic book sold. Sorry, graphic novel sold. But there's no way that it could have been enough to finance this movie. Or that CGI really was just $10 flash. Honest to God, I don't think it was made. I feel like this is a YouTube channel with one subscriber just posted it with his friends. This doesn't feel like a real fucking movie. In fact, Matt's the one who picked it out today. This is his choice. Was this just a big prank? Was this all just a big joke on me? Is that it?
No, it's a real movie.
This is a real movie.
Yeah, it's a real movie.
Okay, alright. How about now? Okay, is it a joke or not? Answer the question with a fucking gun to your head. No. Fuck. Matt? that.
David, what the fuck?
Nah.
All the bad boys want some more, it's tricky.